welcome. This is Tuesdaylive and our sales stover. Government subsidies on products for citizenry is an age-long tradition of practice the world over, particularly in the developing world. Now, best explain the extra payment government makes to the oil marketers in order to make an affordable price regime for petroleum products for the end users is subsidy. Now, in this part of the world, subsidy on petroleum products is government's intervention served as palliative due to fluctuations in the international price of crude oil. Strong arguments have been put forward in recent times on why government should stop subsidizing petrol, which is believed to favor a certain group that feeds fat on subsidy at the expense of the masses. Nigerians are, however, worried that everything about the oil and gas sector is shrouded in secrecy and that petroleum subsidy from a sector-wide survey is seen to be the only for the impoverished masses of the country. There are doubts as to whether the subsidy regime that has been operational can be sustained. Now, other concerns are the current petroleum subsidy regime stifles the repair and privatization of existing refineries, fails to bring on stream new refineries, and impeded reforms across board of the nation's oil and gas sector. And sometimes, allegations are directed at the Nigerian Petroleum Corporation (SPC) and other oil majors for racketeering in the importation of petrol and other petroleum products. There is also the question of what makes pricing policy regime over the years so controversial. Now, these are issues we'll be raising tonight with the distinguished panel. But first, let's get to see this report by Lydia Sampson.
Fuel subsidy refers to the selling of fuel at an amount less than its actual price. This is what the federal government does as it fixes the retail price of fuel less than its market value, and so pays market the balance. From land entirely in agriculture, use raw materials for access to fund government activities, the discovery of crude oil and its galloping price in the market meant huge revenues for the country. Armed with money, the federal government felt it should give something to its citizens, so it decided to subsidize the retail price of all petroleum products in the country. However, because the crude price fell along with accruing revenue to the country, successive governments have increasingly seen the removal of subsidy as the surest way to have more funds to meet the country's development needs. The corruption in the subsidy regime, which is widely acknowledged but has defied screening, given impetus to the support for removal of subsidy. The subsidy on these things being removed. The removal of the subsidy of petrol is what has proved tricky and controversial.
The position of Labour has been very consistent in the past decades because the issues have not changed. It is very clear that by the time we remove subsidy, it's going to affect the living condition of a larger percentage of Nigerians.
It's beyond going to the national stadium to wave green, white, green flag. It's beyond that. We have to let the people know. So we have to go to the various communities, talk in their language and all, and let them know. If you spend so much money or enough money to sell this to the public and all, they will follow.
Subsidy is a delicate one, but sincerely, we must tell the country the truth. The only way we can open up this industry is by removing this subsidy. But it has to be a gradual process, and we have to be careful. What do I mean by this? The refineries has to work. At least even if it is not optimally, but let it be working.
Successive governments in the country have tried to remove the remaining subsidy, with each attempt attracting still opposition, particularly from labor groups and the generality of Nigerians. The last attempt to remove subsidy was in 20 by the immediate past government. The position was such that the country was brought to a standstill, forcing the government to backtrack from the retail price of 140 to 97 naira per litre. For a few years afterwards, queues disappeared at filling stations that have lately resurfaced intermittently. These disruptions in the smooth supply of food equally cause disruptions in the lives of Nigerians. Many stay endless hours at fuel stations just to get fuel, and as cost of transportation shoots up as well as cost of production in some cases. However, proponents of the removal of subsidy on the retail price of petrol argue that the failure to do away with the subsidy is only a case of postponing the inevitable.
Because the understanding of the average man on the street is the price of fuel will go up and the poor people will suffer. Okay, the so-called poor people are using public transport. Even now that we have scarcity, we are buying a liter for about 160 and all that, but they are buying. You know, but if you deregulate, it might not be even as expensive as that.
Labour, which always led the opposition to the removal of subsidy, changes stance.
Any attempt to increase the price, because what they want to do in the name of the regulation is actually increase in the price, and that has been the trend for over 2 decades. Anytime government have shortage of resources and they wanted to get resources is to bring the theory of the regulation in order to have resources to drive the process of development. But I think citizens and Nigerians are tired of this.
President Muhammadu Buhari says the federal government will review all proposals on whether to remove subsidy or not with a view to taking appropriate action. The president noted that tampering with the price of petroleum products has an effect of triggering high cost of transportation and food, among others. According to the president, insecurity, sabotage, corruption and mismanagement are the most serious problems of the nation's oil and gas sector and not subsidy. The president says this will be dealt with in the interest of the country. Opponents are also of the view that Nigeria cannot operate in isolation, as most African countries are already enjoying the benefits of subsidy removal, with revenue accruing used to improve infrastructure in their countries.
You say there's corruption there, and the government says we don't want to manage it, we want to allow market forces to dictate it, and we are fighting the government. And every day we wake up, we see they are spending trillions and all that, and we are saying through them and all that. So why don't we should just deregulate it and then let market forces dictate this, and we are enough of this corruption? More profitable for you to import than to refine, and therefore the profit margin will be high if you are importing than refining. But when you look at the chain benefit to Nigerians and Nigeria as a country, it will be better for all to refine. We have issued licenses more than 6 years ago to investors to come and invest and build refineries to refine products for our domestic use. First is that you don't need to import these products to refine them here.
Others, however, see the issue of removal of subsidy as a conspiracy by the elite to have a ready-to-make money. While the debate continues to rage, the fortune of the oil and gas sector has also continued to dwindle due to the falling oil price, while Nigeria lost her main oil importer, the United States of America, who no longer needs the black gold from Nigeria, following the discovery of shale oil. What then is the way forward? Fuel subsidy, to be or not to be?
Big question indeed, to be or not to be, and that sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let me start by introducing our guests. We'd like to welcome to this program Babafemi Olaore, who is the Executive Secretary of Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, MOMAN. He joins us from our Lagos Network Center. Good evening, thanks for joining us. Good evening. All right. And here in our Abuja studios, I'd like to welcome to this program Comrade Peter Zabiyemi, who is Deputy National President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC. Comrade, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We are joined by the development economist Adelim Owendara. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, sir.
And also tonight we have Chief Mike Aristotle Igofose. He once ran for the governorship of Delta State. He is an economist and an expert in management and organizational behavior. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, my pleasure.
All right. At the appropriate time on this program, you can get to join in the discussion in the studio with various platforms which you can be part of the discussion will be on your screens. But let me quickly add, as I always do every Tuesday, that if you're phoning in at the appropriate time, do us a favor when you get through, turn down the volume of your TV when you do get through, That way will avoid the hurlback or the echo. So, welcome once again to NTA Tuesdaylive, and let's begin. And to start off, we'll go over to our Lagos Network Center and talk to the Executive Secretary of the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria. This has been going on forever, if we might use that term. In spite of huge resources that have gone, it's always a problem. See, fuel here today, it disappears tomorrow. Long queues. At some time, some governments would promise that it would be a thing of the past. And just as Nigerians begin to relax, the queues begin to build up again. What is the problem?
The problem really is all past attempts are attempts at deregulating the price, not actually the whole sector. We need to deregulate the whole sector, right from where the crude comes in until it gets sold at the retail outlet. And investments will come in. Anytime you attempt only the price, you leave other sectors hanging, and that's the basic problem. The other thing is also lack of trust or confidence from labor or civil society groups of what the government will do with the available funds. But whether we like it or not, at some point you need to take a position. If we don't deregulate, then we must have the courage to pay subsidy as at when due. I'll stop here, then as we go ahead we'll talk more.
Alright, thank you so much. And I'm with Peter for DME. Well, you heard the man said deregulate. But this argument is well over 20 years. I remember that I've hosted discussions on the question of subsidy for so long now. More than 20 years I've done this. So what's this? What is it? What's this thing about irregular supply of petrol?
The problem was in the labor movement clearly is not new. Of course we are well aware of the fact that each time there is paucity of funds, the very easiest way to generate resources and generate more money is to talk about removal of subsidy. The easiest way is a very lazy approach of getting money. But over the years, it's very obvious that this attempt on the part of government to, get Nigerians to pay more for this product has not yielded desired results. And for us in Labour, our position is always very clear. If between January 2006 and January 2012 we have had to increase the prices of petroleum products 19 times, 11 of which happened during the government of the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, and we have not seen anything to show for it. We do not think that there is any reason now for us to embark on this suicide mission.
Alright. Some Nigerians don't even think that there is any subsidy, really. I'm sure you've heard that argument before. Is there really a subsidy? And if there is the whole trouble about irregular supply revolving around just subsidy?
Thank you. Thank you, sorry. I think at the end of the day, nobody knows for sure how much does it cost the petroleum product we bring in terms of petrol. So if you don't know how much it costs, the importer will not tell Nigerians, and the NNPC has never told Nigerians the cost is.
then we cannot know whether there's subsidy or not. All I know is that the cost of petrol in South Africa is twice the cost of petrol in Nigeria. But also, I know that South Africa does not produce oil. So South Africa has to import oil to refine it. But also, I know that South Africa imposes a lot of tax on petroleum products. Now, you have to ask yourself, why should people go and import petroleum products instead of having it refined in Nigeria? Why should about 40% of our forex consumption is spent on importation of petroleum products? Why should government have to give subsidy that is not known to Nigerians how much this product is cost, its arrival, if it has demurrage and storage, nobody knows. So what has been going on all these years is a sort of scam. Those who bring these products, and do you know who bring these products, the so-called people who bring these products, are actually companies like Mobil, Total, Cone Oil, FO, which is Fort Oil, Owando, and even NNPC. Ordinarily, Total, all over the world, refines its oil, its petroleum products, in the countries it is domiciled. So also Mobil. But in Nigeria, they prefer to import. So the question is, why this problem and how do we get out of it? Let me tell you straight away what I think we must do. We cannot remove subsidy right now. You know why? We are getting to the point, in 2002, I was one of the people who was everywhere, always say, look, subsidy is not the problem. The problem is the corruption in the fuel subsidy. Let's remove the corruption in the fuel subsidy. But what I discovered was actually the government stage managed the unrest in January 2012. Because I was one of the people talking about this, but only to discover that government was actually stage managing it, in the sense that they wanted Nigeria to protest so that they reinforce the continuation of subsidy, not its removal. They did not want it to be removed. They wanted the Nigerians to say remove subsidy so that to confirm the continuation of subsidy. Now, we must not remove it, because now with this government, what should happen is that we are already, among the Nigerians, this government has set in motion the turnaround maintenance of our refineries. By the time these refineries start working, and we build more NNPC petrol stations, it will be difficult. Government will just start selling petrol. Let me tell you the problem people don't know, that people remove subsidy. Do you know that as soon as they remove subsidy, the market determines the price, which means petroleum products will be cheaper in Lagos. But in Sokoto, you may not have petroleum products. In Adamawa, you may not have petroleum products. In Katsina, you may not have petroleum products. So we now have two economies. The economy in the south that enjoys petroleum product at a very cheap price because it has been deregulated, and the north taken away because the north cannot. Somebody cannot move petroleum product from Lagos to Sokoto and discharge what somebody who moves from Lagos to Lagos charge. So I am saying we must not remove it. We have already done this for a long time. By the next 6 months or 1 year, the problem will be up, and then we will price all these companies out. Because as soon as NNPC start refining, our four refineries start working, and more NNPC refineries are built across the nation, we will drop the price, and all these scammers, all these saboteurs will be priced out of market. That is the strategy I think the president should follow. Okay, all right. Chief Aristotle, you want to say? Let's hear you.
Well, thank you very much. Let me go backwards a little bit. During the Babangida regime, when petrol was selling for 11 naira, I don't think Nigeria had a word of subsidy as at that time. And nobody complained whether there was subsidy or no subsidy as at that time. Now, some years back we began to hear there was subsidy. You hear the word of cabal. You hear people round-tripping invoices. Whether they bring it or not, we hear they are being paid. Then we hear people who bring 10,000 round-tripping the invoice and say they bring 20,000 metric tons. Well, nothing was bought at all. Now, my belief is this. Whether there is subsidy or no subsidy is not the question here. What do? We have to look inward with an attitude to change. And what is that? We have some 4 refineries right now which need to be put in a full operation. Those refineries presumably should cost more than $200 or $300 million now. But we don't need to go into that because those are very expensive. And most state governors or maybe the majority of people may not be able to invest in that. But what do we need to do? We need to invest in what we call modular refinery. Modular refinery can refine about 40,000 barrels per day. It takes 30 days to import, 30 days to couple and equip. It can employ at least direct labor 1,000 people, indirect labor so many. And once Nigeria has this modular refinery being installed, the question of deregulation, the question of price increase will face out. The price of petroleum automatically comes down to about 50-25 naira per liter in Nigeria for that time. So what I believe is that right now we need to look inward with the attitude of change that the new government has come in with, so that we can now equip what we have, because we can't phase them out anymore. We have to equip them. Then we bring in this modular refinery that will enable our people to enjoy the dividends of democracy that everybody is crying for. That's my point for now.
Well, Mr. Laura, you talked about suspicion, lack of trust, and things like that. But the issue is over time, over the years, some bit of what was called the subsidy had always been taken out, and this had led to the setting up of certain interventionist funds and things like that. But this has not solved the problem. Now I want you to put that in context with the issue of having refineries that have never really worked to full capacity in a very long time.
Thank you, sir. First, let me correct a notion. One of my good people over there said nobody knows the cost of a liter imported. With due respect, I like to say that he probably has not gone through the PPPRA template. If he has, he would have seen everything. And that's number one. Number two, there is a fixed margin for all marketers. And openly, we say it's 4.60 naira per liter. That's all. And that's gross. That's one thing. The other thing is, it is also erroneous to assume that once we deregulate, prices will just, between Lagos and the other parts of the country, will be so wide that it will be unattractive. The truth of the matter is this. There are 3 regulatory agencies in the downstream, and one of them, and that is, I'm talking about the Petroleum Equalization Fund, which was existing before PPPRA. The job is they look at the transportation costs and reimburse anybody that has lost anything based on the element of transportation. So once you deregulate, you have a common price everywhere, but the variation comes in on transportation, which will be taken care of by PEF. So that is another area that we need to also look at. Generally, I believe that people should sit down and look at things from a detached point of view and drop emotions. Because emotions always make us not look at things the way they should be. In places where my good friend quoted, he was talking of South Africa and other places,
you will realize that when we don't produce crude, which is what we get here, but the fact is that the refineries there work. It may interest you to note that one of the youngest refineries in South Africa is of the same age as the oldest refinery in Nigeria, and it still works at between 90 and 95%. So why Andreas recognizes coal, all right, at Sasol? So what I'm trying to say is that first, I agree if we can make the refineries work, but with the present four refineries, even where they work fully, we will still have some volumes to import. The issue of modular refineries, right, could work in the short term. The reason, if we look at refinery margins, they are very, very small. So you make your money in the refinery by volumes. So over a period of time, the smaller volume refineries may not become profitable. But having said all this, my belief is that all of us should agree to do one thing, and that is, if we all agree that subsidy should continue, let it continue. But for us in the oil sector, we believe it shouldn't continue, because contrary to what people are saying, nobody is gaining anything. It's only that people, once you mention some money, they think that somebody is gaining it. The only people gaining from this importation process are the refineries abroad, whose citizens are kept on the job. Otherwise, I mean, you can imagine the volumes that we import every day, and then a refinery is not working, and then has these volumes. It will continue to employ its own citizens. So I believe that we should encourage local production, which is true, I agree with that. But in those years when we were talking of 11 naira and so on and so forth, NNPC was buying crude at subsidized rate, which is a form of subsidy. They were paying a special price. If you drop the price, they pay. Then the subsidy will also drop. Whichever way you look at it, there is subsidy. Can I just stay with you for a moment? Because you did say even if the four refineries are working, there still be a shortfall. But the question is, why wouldn't they work? Is it enough to say, well, because even if they work at full capacity, we still need to import? Why don't they work? For me, the reason why they don't work is that of ownership. The government ownership of the refineries makes it very, very difficult for the refineries to work. Until of recent, the MD of a refinery doesn't have enough power to buy equipment when the refineries go bad. And that is because he takes his own, he looks at his approval limit. If it is beyond that, he goes to his corporate headquarters. If it is beyond that, they go to the ministry, and from there to the Federal Executive Council. All this while, the refinery that is bad, and could even continue to deteriorate. So, for me, once the ownership structure is changed, call it, people are saying we should adopt the LNG model of 5149. As long as somebody is driving operations and activities at the refinery different from the government, the refineries will work. And that is why when Element Petrochemicals was sold to the private sector, the plant is working. It's been made to seem as if just about everything in the private sector is picture perfect. Is that correct?
No, absolutely not right. Of course, the mentality of the fact that government has no business in business is clearly unacceptable. You find very clearly that that in itself is not in tune with what is happening now in the developed economies of the world. You find also that you now find a situation where there is deliberate policies to get government to be actively involved in running government ventures. You see, the question that has bothered us in the labor movement is the fact that why is it that the private sectors will be willing to buy institutions that are already on ground? That's what we have seen in this country. They go in and buy institutions that are already in place, but they have difficulties in establishing new institutions. Why is it that the private sector will be willing to buy an existing refineries, for instance, and not able to build new refineries? Over a period of time, licenses have been issued, and we have not seen one single refinery built, and that for us is a problem, because it then means that there is a deliberate attempt on the part of those who have been asked to drive this process from the private sector to continue to make Nigerians and not be able to put in place a structure in itself that can also come on board and begin to do this production. So we believe very clearly that there is something wrong that has to be corrected, and if we look at it, the main issue has to do with the corruption that is there in the system. And until we find a situation where we develop the courage and the capacity to deal decisively with the corruption that is embedded in the system. If you take a look at what happened in 2012 and the outcome of the reports of the ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives, it is very obvious that that report clearly stated that there is a whole lot of corruption that is ongoing in this sector and that has to also do with the issue of subsidy. But so far, nothing concretely has been done to address those issues of corruption. So it is a problem where we continue to see a situation where something is happening and we find that there are elements who are clearly benefiting from this situation at the expense of the ordinary people, and we have not developed the courage and capacity to deal decisively with those issues. And for us, we think that until we are able to deal decisively with the issue of corruption in the system, it will not be right to continue to create more burden for the masses of the people.
But sometimes people put forward the argument that the reason why those who get the licenses never built on refineries was because of the regulation, and they say, well, they wouldn't have a free hand. So what's the point? Does that argument hold?
Look, sorry, I can't agree more with you. You see, sorry, do you know that after the unrest in January 2012, the presidency set up the Imoke committee? But who is Imoke? Then the MD of Access Bank, and the House also set up the House panel, chaired by Lawan Farouk. And what happened? Lawan Farouk was set up to collect bribe by Femi Otedola, who was also a member of the economic management team. And why did they set up Farouk? Why did they set him up? So that nothing will come out, he will not even go further than what he did. So what is happening, sir, is that the scandal is monumental. I am happy when I discovered that Mr. President warned his aides not to bring any Nigerian businessman close to him during this trip. Yes, these people are fraudsters. For how long do you bring people that are saboteurs, scammers? They have destroyed this economy during Jonathan administration because they were members of the economic management team. These people, remember that in late 2007, the Chinese came and said they want to build 2 world-class refineries. The then President Yar'Adua was looking into it but was sick. Then the Chinese had nothing about that. Now, the so-called economic management team Okoji abroad, most of them wanted to build refinery. Now, one of them is building $9 billion refinery, and we have to leave until he builds $9 billion refinery. So what I'm saying is, in essence, is that
let's not continue to drive this discussion because it is all about corruption. Because look, do you know what is called oil theft? If you don't know that oil theft in Nigeria is actually those Nigerians who are bringing petroleum products that steal this oil, go to foreign neighboring countries, refine these fish and bring them into the country. That's the oil theft. And there was nothing also called oil swap. And all these things are monumental scandal against the nation. So what I'm saying in essence is that at the end of the day, whether my brother in Lagos agrees or disagrees with me, I'm not emotional about this. I have studied this issue. Recently I was on Al Jazeera talking about that time we had this crisis. I was on Al Jazeera, we talked about it for 20 minutes. Look, the fraud in this country should be brought to an end. And I'm happy that, even if it is briefly, I'm happy that Mr. President has taken a stand on this because he's not emotional about it. By the time we finish, we are going to carefully review the scandal. And I'm sure that when Mr. President comes back, we must expand and reinforcing our curriculum and our object prison because so many of these people must go to prison. Let me put this, although it sounds simplistic. People say, take off the regulation, remove the subsidy, and everything will just be fine. Is it as simple as that?
It's not. Let's take it backward. I heard him say that we should deregulate, remove subsidies or not remove subsidies. Now, in Nigeria of today, I can tell you practically that majority of the gas stations, filling stations around the country are selling different prices. In Lagos, you can see some parts selling 87 naira, some part of Abuja is 100, 110. In Edo State, we bought a fuel at 115. I wish we bought a fuel at by 110, 100. What do you call the regulation?
Exactly.
It's already happening. It's already going on.
But doesn't that also support the argument that if you remove the subsidy, the fear that the price will go up, people will still buy anyway because they say, well, apart from a few cities, nobody buys at 87. Right now people are buying, even within Abuja and Lagos, people are buying as high as 100, 150, more than that.
But that is where we come in. When we said, he was right when he said something, gradual removal. Alright? Now, in the 7th Assembly, I remember very vividly few people were invited for subsidy programs. We had so much on the floor of the House.
All right, let me just ask you to hold on a while. The lines are already open and we have Alexander calling in from Ibadan. Hello, Alexander.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Alexander. I'm calling from Ibadan, please.
Good, go ahead.
Yeah, thank God I'm happy with the discussion going on, whether to remove oil subsidy or not to remove oil subsidy. Well, we common Nigerians are of the opinion that oil subsidy should be removed because there are a lot of fraud that are going on in the oil sector. Right now, if nobody tells us, we know that there are a lot of frauds that is going on in oil sector. But before the fuel subsidy should be removed, government should, I'm of the opinion, government should encourage local refiners. You know, when you go to Niger Delta, you go to Creek, you see refineries, a lot of them refine up to a tanker of this product on daily basis. So what stops government from issuing them, licensing them to make it legal so that we have enough of this product and the opinion that importation of our commodity should stop. Let us refine locally. Here we have more than enough because these marketers are crooks. They are robbers. They are really killing us. They are killing us. I'm of the opinion that these things should be scattered because when we continue importing what we have here, what we produce or refine locally here, and when we encourage these refiners to to refine here, we have more than enough, and it will be sold at a very cheap rate.
Okay.
So this issue of subsidy is a fraud. So I hope they thought that government should start it out.
All right, Alexander.
Let our refineries work.
Okay.
So that arm of the opinion, please.
All right.
We common Nigerians, we discuss and we know our problem. Okay? Our problem is that these oil marketers are thieves. They are killing this nation.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, he's got another dimension. He says what he calls the illegal, what's referred to as illegal refineries. He says instead of destroying them, you should encourage them and see just how far they can go. That's another argument. But just by way of mentioning this, for the purpose of this discussion, we have asked the NNPC to join in today's discussion. The NNPC preferred to ask the PPPRA to attend to this discussion, and of course the PPPRA did not show up. So just that, because we've had people asking why these bodies are not here, and that's just the reason. Yes, go ahead.
Well, good enough for the caller that just finished. He talked about illegal refinery. Well, we are not here to talk about illegality. And that's why I started my statement when I said we should concord with that giving licenses to people who can import modular refineries that can, first and foremost, the importation we're encouraging right now is telling much on our Nigerian economy in the first place. One, if we build modular refinery, we have direct employment. We are reducing unemployment.
So the argument of level is that's a short term.
For a short time solution. But is it better to have a short time than have nothing at all? We have 4 refineries, and you ask the question, why are they not working in full capacity? Why have they not been working in full capacity? Why don't we have something that can work and then supply? Then people begin to enjoy these attributes rather than have nothing at all. And then he talks about deregulation. And like I just said to you, the fuel is deregulated already. Apart from few areas where we buy 87 naira per liter, most of the places you buy 110, 120. Okay? Okay, we have Audu from Abuja who's on the line as well. Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to support. I supported the last speaker.
All right.
Yeah, it's a very good idea that they should remove the subsidy.
Okay.
A lot of corruption in that section of fuel subsidy.
Okay.
As we talk about change, let this change be realistic, and so that President Buhari should prevail and achieve his aim towards state development.
Okay.
So I think if such subsidy are being removed, I think it's very better for all of us.
All right.
So I thank you for all your contribution, and I most all people in the studio should make their effort to make sure that the subsidy has been removed totally, so that we can enjoy our nation. Thank you very much for all your contribution.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
I want to point out something. The issue of modular refineries. In the United States, 60% of the refineries are modular refineries, because the companies that actually own the petrol stations build these refineries very close to the market. So I disagree that it's a short time. It is part of the strategies we have to employ, because sometimes if you build a refinery like the one in Kaduna, it will be difficult to transport fuel unless you have pipes to Sokoto and do this. But if we are able to build refineries, in fact, my goal in this country is that we have up to 36 modular refineries across the nation. Those who own the petrol stations, like NNPC, because what I want, look, go to many countries, Brazil, Petrobras is in charge. It
is state-owned. It's not privately owned. What is happening in this country is that our so-called corporate Nigeria, who are supposed to be economic patriots, are those destroying our economy. Others, Chinese, Indians, Japanese, Americans go overseas to steal other people's wealth. But our people, instead of going overseas, they are stealing from the backyard. They are stealing from our nation. And they are bold enough to tell us that we deregulate it. Because that's what I've been looking for. As soon as we deregulate this, I will assure you, because people are not informed about this. Sokoto will not have petroleum products again. If it has, it's going to be quadruple the price in Lagos. Okay, no, NNPC must build NNPC refineries, about 10,000 of them across the nation. And the NNPC, through NNPC refineries, we supply these petroleum products, even if it costs more. But also, government is supposed to tax the petroleum consumption, the product consumption, because if not, smuggling will come back again. Because if petroleum products in Nigeria are cheaper than in neighboring African countries, people will smuggle this out as they were doing before. So we must, besides building the refineries, we must better use the market price so that to discourage people from moving it to neighboring African countries. But the only person who can do that, the only opposition that can be government, this our so-called corporate Nigeria, they have disappointed us and we can no longer do business with them. Let's go to the issue of oil theft, spirit and concrete. What you know, in all of this, what role does this play, and how can this be tackled? Because it's been on for so long. And it would seem that successive governments have not really had the wherewithal to stem the tide of oil bunkering and oil theft that's been going on in Nigeria. It's as if it's just free for all. Mr. Lawal. Clear an area that unwittingly the media has been confusing the usage of the word bunkering. Anytime there is stolen oil, they refer to it as bunkering. To the extent that you hear bunkering being ascribed to situations in states within in hinterland. Bunkering is actually similar to you carrying your car to the fuel station to go buy fuel. Bunkering is supply of fuel to a vessel, an ocean-going vessel. We are talking here of illegal bunkering. Illegal bunkering. That's the word. Illegal bunkering. It is not somebody that goes to prefer or break a pipeline, then you call it bunkering. No, we are talking here about illegal bunkering. We're not even talking about pipeline vandalism. Between 83 that the word bunkering became misused. But the real thing is the oil theft. The oil theft. I will only speak about the area that I know about. Because if you talk of the oil theft in the area of crude, I am in the downstream and I don't have much knowledge about upstream. And I want to be fair. And I want people not to say what they don't know. Now, the oil theft in the refined sector simply is just breaking a pipeline and taking what is there. Or maybe hijacking a loaded vessel and taking it away. How do you stop that? My people say that the rhino cannot just pass. It can't just pass. It means that people see how it is done, where it is done, and the vessel moves away. And we will urge those saddled with the responsibility of guarding the territorial waters to actually do their work and help us stem it. So that is theft. That is oil theft in the downstream. Upstream, I'm sorry, I won't want to comment on an area where
all right.
I'm not an expert.
All right, let's take on this caller, Innocent, is calling in from Aba. When we're done with Innocent, we'll put the same question to the panelists here in Abuja to see if this does not have an impact on what we're talking about tonight. Innocent, you're on.
Hello, Mr. Sir.
Good evening.
My name is Innocent. I'm calling from Aba.
Right.
Yes, I'm very, very interested in this particular discussion, okay? This discussion has been eating deep into this country. This particular sector has been eating deep into this country. So many people have been affected. The poor masses are suffering because of the so-called cabal in the high sectors of the oil sector. And that's very, very bad. The man from Lagos is telling us that we need to talk about the oil subsidy. But the poor people are suffering. You understand? People are using money they get from our own resources to better themselves. And forgetting what the poor masses are passing through. The poor masses are suffering to get this oil. People fear in the situations are problem. Even in the country where we produce this oil, how could that be fair? I mean, how could that be fair? So what I suggest is that for now we're not talking about removing oil subsidy because it's going to tear down on the poor masses. It's going to tear down on them because one, transportation needs is going to increase. Food subsidy, which they get through the hinterland, means of transportation, going to increase. School fees, common school fees people pay, going to increase. It has a multiplier effect on the economy for now. So let's fix our own subsidy, let's fix our refineries. That is one. Two, the president has promised us what he's going to do sector. I mean, this president got to look down in 1999, all those head of state that have in one way or the other sold the process of oil producing in this country. We have to account for every dime, every kobo they spend because this is the Nigerian resources. It's not their resources for crying out loud. It's Nigerian resources. So we have to account for it. The president has to make them to account for it. Right from Obasanjo, Jonathan, you understand? Abdulsalam, everybody got to account for every kobo. I remember in the course of 1991, how much you realize. Nobody has ever accounted for that money. Nobody has accounted for it. So people have to account for it and make the poor masses
Innocent. Thank you. Thanks, Innocent. We'll get the comments of our guests here tonight, but just quickly, a number of tweets have come in here, and Olariwaju David, his idea is if subsidy must go, it should take a gradual process. Put the refineries in order and build more. That's Olariwaju David. And the same thing is canvassed by Aribe, and he says federal government should put our refineries in order before thinking of removing subsidy. Okay? And a number of tweets are coming in on this matter. So, yes, yes, you had the argument. But would we agree here that the oil thefts, illegal bunkering, and vandalism of the pipelines are all impacting on the whole system here, contributing to the scarcity, perennial shortage of petroleum products in the country?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only contributing is one of the major crises that we have had to contend with. And it is still very surprising that we have not been able to arrest the situation, because we find that because we have not decisively dealt with those who have been involved in vandalism, in all of these criminal acts. It tends to embolden other criminals into going into this process, and then the after effect is that we have all of these problems that are there. And I think that the government needs to do more in terms of how we protect our pipeline, and then in terms of how we deal very decisively with those who have been found to be involved in these criminal activities. I think clearly also that this is not an act that we can say is being perpetrated by ordinary people, and that is why they are getting away with this criminal act. I think some very important elements within our society must be behind some of these criminal activities, and I think until very decisive actions are taken against them, we will not get out of this crisis. Ibrahim is calling in from Kano. Ibrahim, go ahead. Hello,
Mr. President. Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
How is your family?
Please go ahead with your question or comments.
Yes, I was reviewing the program to either remote this or not. In my own opinion, I don't want the federal government to remove these subsidies. Why? Because it's very important to the Nigerian people in general.
Yes,
good luck, Jonathan, former president. When they remove the federal CFSC, they implement small fee, and also we get any benefits of that program. So we want federal government to review the refineries and implement very active. Then secondly, we want federal government to put more priority in the Delta area for those people that don't claim the fuel to other countries. Because we want a situation where if it's possible, the government to lend a loan from China, everybody whole court to clear and make the economy of the country low, or to make any agencies to the government to
well, listen, good chipping his point there, so he doesn't want subsidy to go. So what will be the benefits if the subsidy were to be removed? What will be the benefits to Nigeria? But sir, I'm saying that subsidy should not be removed until we fix our refineries. Government is doing what is right now. Our oil sector was a scandal, and now government is cleaning up. So when you ask the question of oil theft, I wonder what will it be? Leadership compromise. What will it be? When those who are into this business are children of politicians and the politicians themselves. Let me ask you the question, sir. Who really financed 2000 and this year's election? No, ask yourself the question. You see, the problem is that nobody asks who financed the election. All the companies and the importers, foreign importers. So what is going on all the years is that politicians have discovered that the easiest way to have money to finance election and things like that is allow the fraud to go on. So what I'm saying is, sir, let's be emotional about this issue. The only solution is let NNPC become like Petrobras. We must make sure that what petroleum products cost in Nigeria is the same thing as it costs in Togo. But also we must also make sure that it is available in Sokoto the same way it is available in Lagos and at the same price. So that we could not price out so many Nigerians. Because the economy of Lagos is about 45% of Nigeria's economy. Because Lagos is close to the port. Every activity that goes on in the port, near the port, affect Lagos economy. But it doesn't affect Sokoto economy. So what I'm saying is that government and Nigeria should be patient. Give this government 1 or 2 years. fix these refineries, build refineries, and also build petrol stations across the nation. That is going to be NNPC. And we assure you that every day is for the thief, but one day is for the owner of the house. Alright, and it says on that note we'll take a short break here. When we return, we'll look at the differentials and the pump price of petroleum products, and see if that's part of the argument why we should take away the subsidy. Stay with us on NTA News on Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate and temporary gains of relief. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one, we're here together. Let's not fight each other, let us give a love. It doesn't matter where you come from, the fight for religion, man, woman or child, it doesn't matter who you are, Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one, we're here together. Nigeria, the only country we can trend with remarkable potential to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis no matter who they are or where they come from. Nigeria, good people, great nation. NTA Tuesdaylive, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Right, thanks for staying with us. We'll just take a quick look at some of the tweets that have been coming in here. Very interesting. Olajide says, please tell the organized oil marketers or corporate bodies that they have not been patriotic to Nigeria and Nigerians. Then we have Dr. Melua who says, government should encourage major marketers to build refineries across Nigeria. Andy Bassi says, why shouldn't Nigeria follow the Ghana example, the Ghana way? Ghana has now implemented the regulation of petroleum products. And this one, by Mohammed Usman, says, I think we should have been done by now with this subsidy. It's a total flop, but let it be put to vote by Nigerians.
Of course, that looks very interesting. But what we have done over the past year shows clearly that even if we go for a referendum, we are not likely to get any positive result as far as the issue or the agitation for removal of subsidy is concerned. Because the truth of the matter is that this issue of subsidy is something that will not impact positively on Nigerians. You see, there are negative consequences that will follow removal of subsidy, because we find that quite a lot of things every people work in our country. If, for instance, you have to power a generator, you depend absolutely on petrol. You have to do transportation, you depend absolutely on petrol. So there are quite a lot of things that you have to do with petrol and petroleum products. And you know, it's very obvious and very clear that if you remove subsidy, those that will be affected negatively are the downtrodden Nigerians who will have to carry the burden. It's very interesting when we listen to this argument that look, it's a few Nigerians that are benefiting from the subsidy regime. But I also assure you that clearly if we remove subsidy, it is the masses of the people. The argument has always been that if you remove subsidy, then you create an avenue and an atmosphere where the mass of the people will benefit. But from what we have seen over the years, from this gradual removal that has become very unending over the years, the mass of the people, the majority of the downtrodden Nigerians have not benefited from whatever they must have saved from those removal all over a period of time. So it is not going to be a possible argument or an argument that you can say can stand the test of time that we remove subsidy. If we do a referendum today, the mass of the people are going to say no to removal of subsidy.
Alright, Mr. Laure, let's come back to you in Lagos there. One of the contributors to this program said that major marketers should build refineries across the country. What's stopping me from building refineries? Why would those who get licenses not build refineries? What's there standing in the way of building new refineries?
Thank you very much. I will marry this with the contribution of one of our dear friends in Abuja with you there, where he spoke about why won't people build institutions of their own from scratch. Beautiful argument. But once there is a cap to the price, it discourages people from coming in. I have said earlier on that we should face it. All of us will agree, whether it's a 6-month period, 1 year, or 18 months, we should agree to gradually phase out the issue of subsidy, because if you do not do that, the same thing that happened to those that received licenses, the 18 people that got licenses who have not done anything with it will continue. The reason is simple. Those that got licenses, there are two categories of people there. One, the genuine ones who thought that at some point there will be subsidy removal where they can recover their costs and make some margins. And those whose main interest is give me the license, give me the crude, and I find a way to sell the crude instead of refining locally. And that is the good job that our friends in DPR did. Alright? They saw through the tricks of some people. And that's why some of them with those type of intentions never came up. But for anybody at all, don't talk of even marketers, any investor coming at all would look at the issue of capping of the price. Will somebody tell me don't go beyond this? Or will they look at the telecoms and say, okay, it's free, however, there is a regulatory agency who will make sure that you do not overstep your bounds. Exactly, surely, because even if you talk about regulation, even if you remove the cap, would you have a situation where everyone would be free to charge anything? Surely there still would be some form of regulation, wouldn't there be? That is not regulation per se. I said it earlier on that we will have a regulatory agency who will sit with you. He knows the cost of the crude. He knows all the associated costs
that you incur during the refining process, and the margin will be mutually determined. It's not going to be that you have the whole of this world to charge any price. No, you can't do. Is a deregulation with regulatory framework, and that is what we want to champion. That there must be a framework within which you operate, and pricing shouldn't be the sole aim of that particular commission, as we have in the telecoms sector. Yes, you obviously don't agree with that, do you?
Look, sir, the Chinese came to build two world-class refineries in late 2007. The process was going on. Had it been that Yarabia building by now would have built it. But Dangote is building a $9 billion refinery. How come he's building? What is happening in the country is this, sir. Those who are supposed to implement the policy of building refineries are blocking it. In public, they pretend they want it, but behind the scenes they block it. Why? Because they are all the beneficiaries of the scam. I continue to say that the greatest scam in this country, first, is in the banking financial sector. Second, it is in the downstream sector and upstream sector. So what do you expect? If I'm benefiting from something, I'm sorry, you want me to stop what I'm benefiting from? So what is going on is that thank God that we now have a president who is corruption free, so that this problem should be fixed once and for all. Our oil sector has become no man's land, where all fraudsters, the former 419ers now are oil marketers and the independent marketers, briefcase downstream oil marketers.
Okay. Let me put this. This is a tweet. It's interesting. It's a different argument altogether. Nabi Shunubi says, what is really being subsidized? You charge me 87 naira per liter, and I buy fuel for my car and power my generator. What's being subsidized?
Well, to him, nothing is being subsidized. But the natural fact of it is this. In everywhere in the world, there is subsidy. We may not agree on it today, and some people say that remove it completely, or some say do not remove it completely. He says gradual removal for 6 months period or for what period. Then, if we agree that it should be gradual removal for 6 months, what comes next after that? Then the guy who says he buy 87 today, if it's deregulated, will he buy 87 tomorrow? Right now the dollar is about 240 something, and it keeps increasing on a daily basis. And by the end of the day, those who are importing these commodities, they say they can no longer sell at 87 because the dollar has gone up. And what do? You cannot change it. Except the dollar comes down, then the importation of the price can come down. But if the dollar continues to go up, tomorrow you might not find the commodity for even 300 naira per liter. Now, the question goes back this way again, because we touched something which we moved away from, the vandalism, bunkering, and all sorts of things. And we keep saying this once and over again. Why are we continuously talking about subsidy year in, year out? That we should not do something else. We should continue. We said it buttressed what I was saying earlier on. Why there is need for modular refineries. He also said that maybe we should build more refineries. I didn't disagree with that, but what I simply said that we just said that Dangote built a $9 billion refinery, which is building. Yes. How many people in Nigeria can afford that kind of money? But less than $100 million, you can build a modular refinery in 30 days.
Yes.
That can hire 1,000 people, that can refine 4,000 barrels per day. And if you do that across the country, yes, the problem we are talking about today would have been solved. Yes. And that goes to show that when these people, these rescue youth in Niger Delta, we used to make a joke of it, that why are they breaking pipes? We were not saying that, oh, previous government have failed in their promises by telling them that, oh, the needed amenities is in the pipeline. And they go flashing the pipeline to get the needed amenities. And they begin to break the pipes. And then we now said, will these guys continuously break the pipe because we have heard about the military, they are destroying so many illegal refineries?
Yes, because that brings us to what one of our callers said. Instead of destroying the illegal refineries, encourage them to go. And someone else says, well, we set up a military task force to stem vandalism. How much have they achieved? And has this been done? Because this disrupts the whole process.
If you live in a house and you decided to go to sleep and open your door wide open, what happens? Anybody can come in. I'm not going to say that the Nigerian sea is very porous. You understand what I mean? But a lot of things that is happening there, even if you take a while for the incoming government today to actually stem the tide. So what we need to do right now is licensing these modular refineries so that these boys who are breaking the pipes, who are siphoning oil in one way or the other, because we say that people should not say what they don't know, because we know a lot that happened in the upstream and downstream today. We can tell you categorically, emphatically, sometimes we see how many vessels are somewhere and somewhere. Nigerian crude oil being taken away. And then you ask yourself something. Who is benefiting from this? The additives that comes out of this 1 barrel of oil that goes out is over 42. And when we import it back, what do we import back? Just one commodity. And the country that we are importing it from has so many employments. And yet in this country we are suffering unemployment.
Well, Mr. Nawi, there's a tweet here which Governor wants you to clarify something. It's in relation with what you said earlier when you talked about no one wanting to invest in building a refinery because there is a cap, and because as long as you put a cap on the price, and he wants you to clarify. He says, I think this is Dr. Emilia. What he wants you to clarify is, what's the job of a refinery? Is it to sell or to refine products?
Thank you. The job of a refinery is to refine. But after refining, you don't keep the product. You need to sell the product. So whoever is going to build a refinery has the sole aim of making a margin. He refines. But perhaps if he is only refining and somebody else is coming to buy from him, then he takes his margin only. And then the person that goes to him to buy will buy and also sell at a margin.
So why would the man with the refinery now bother so much about the cap at the pump price?
That's the issue. Okay, let me quickly go back to some of the issues earlier raised. Okay. Two of them. Vandalism. We all know the efforts that NNPC, PPMC have been putting into arresting this dangerous practice. For your information, we have 5,000 pipelines, almost 5,200 kilometers of pipeline that can effectively store around 500,000 metric tons of product all over, which is a very good storage in itself. But they are not functional. Somebody is breaking it. So we must help in the process of putting a stop to this particular wanton destruction. The second aspect that I would like to also comment is this.
it's nice saying somebody is going to build a refinery and we are all happy. But the fundamental question that we should be concerned with is, at what price will the crude be sold to that particular individual? Remember I had earlier said that when the price was 11 naira, it was crude was sold at subsidized rates to the refinery. Now you remove the subsidy and you sell at international price. Once you sell at international price, the cost of production is up. So we should know all this before we say some people are coming in and others are not coming in. I'll be very glad, and I know that the constituency that I represent will also be very willing to go into refining process if some conditions are made very clear. Once they do so, we are willing, ready and able to build refineries, but not when there are so many conditions that you have to contend with.
Still with the issue of pipeline vandalism, and we find that this has always also led to the disruption of local suppliers of petroleum products. And the question is, has the military task force put in place, has it been able to significantly reduce the incidence of theft, vandalism? That's one of the questions one of our viewers sent in.
Absolutely not. Very obviously, you find that even at the tail light of the last government, we still had contracts being awarded for the protection of the pipelines. So what that means clearly is that we have not done enough in terms of how we prevent this act of criminality. And of course, why we have not been able to achieve much has to do with the fact that those who are driving this act of criminality are those who are very well placed in our society. It's very difficult. I'm not really sure that we have achieved the level of results that we are expected to have achieved, because every day you still hear of this vandalism, you hear of theft of our oil. And I think that there is, with this present government, and I'm sure with the president and his determination, something much more positive, something much more stronger has to be put in place with a view to checking this act of criminality. Until we do that, we are not going to make substantial progress.
Alright, let's hear from Farouk, who's calling in from Kaduna. Farouk, hello.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, this is my contribution.
Okay.
Yeah, let's ask ourselves why our refineries are not working. Take an example from Farouk Usman. Yeah, they set it off with a $10. Yes, what happened? They refuse to say anything about that issue. Is it not corruption? So Nigeria will have to wake up and build more refineries. The one we have, they are not working, and those people, they say they want private what we call it, refineries. They are thieves. That's the corruption they are talking about. So when they say they want to move the subsidies, they should remove it. So this is my contribution.
Alright, thank you very much. Again, say the point that you can reach us through the telephone lines. The numbers have been on the screen, so it's amazing that some people are tweeting in that they don't know what numbers to call, but people have been calling in, and the numbers are on the screen. If you just watch, you will find these numbers, and people have been calling in, and we've taken so many calls tonight. We're also taking it to say, I'm surprised that others are saying they don't know what numbers to call. Those numbers are on your screen. You can send in tweets
And you can also send in emails. We'll be glad to take them, and our guests here will respond to issues that you might raise. We have Andrew on the line from Port Harcourt. Andrew, hello.
Yeah, brother, super. How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, my name
Would that be Andrew Ajayi? Would that be Andrew Ajayi?
Yes, exactly.
Alright, go ahead.
Yes, and let me say that you have had a very wonderful discussion there. Everyone there has really done so well. Thank God for the intelligence that God has given to Nigerians. It is my hope that the people who are in charge are actually listening. How I wish Mr. President is not in America now to be listening to these robust discussions that we are having, so that our oil sector can be developed. I don't want us to lament too much. If you ask me, I don't even want us to be supplying crude oil to the America or what have you, since they said they have found their own. Rather, if America can be storing their own oil, waiting for the fact that they can use it in the future, why can't Nigeria also be doing the same thing by establishing this reservoir where we can keep this oil and also locally produce for us here, because we are already a very large market. I think it is high time we started thinking within ourselves and see how we can benefit ourselves. It is quite ironical and sad that government built refineries in the years of this country, only for us to be told now that government has no business in business, and they are now selling those things to private sectors. It is very, very sad that this country is behaving like this. Who are the people in the private sector? Who are the people in the public sector? Are they not Nigerians? So I think for us to actually correct all this satanic attitude of our people, I think we need character reformation. If we can reform our attitude, all those people who are doing this petrol business, they will not see Nigerians as a fat cow to be milked the way they are making us. Where instead of them to sell petrol for us for 87 naira, they will hold the thing so that we will now be fighting and beating ourselves in the filling station that we are not going to be buying for 150,000. All these things are attitudinal problems. If only we can, change from this type of attitude, I'm sure we have more than enough petrol to even put in the cars of children yet unborn. So I think that anybody that is actually working for Nigeria should be more patriotic. Let us build refineries here. All those big men that have money, instead of taking this money to buy house in Dubai, take this money to buy house in London, concentrate it on building refineries here so that we use this money to develop our own country. Nobody will repair Nigeria for us. It is only Nigerians that can repair Nigeria. Thank you, and let me stop here.
Alright, thank you very much, Andrew Ajayi. Yes, Edwin.
So I want to expand on the oil tax and the illegal bunkering and the vandalism. You see, you don't know that most of the so-called military people sent to take care of all these pipelines are actually members of the same cabal. If you are not, as soon as you come, you are schooled in how to join the group. Look at the question is the Gulf of Guinea Commission. Why is it that as soon as we came into Obasanjo came into power, the Gulf of Guinea became destroyed? Because it was the Gulf of Guinea Commission that had been used to actually monitor the incoming and outgoing vessels. But because we import petroleum products, which the byproducts we refined in Nigeria are more than 100, up to 100, not even 40. The reason is that when there is compromised leadership, every other person will do like that, the person in power. Because if the head of a family is irresponsible, the entire members of the family will be responsible. So at the end of the day, I want Nigerians to be patient, because if we rush to deregulate, we find ourselves in a situation that will be catastrophic for the nation. But if this government comes to fix this problem once and for all, because this problem was not there in the 80s, then we get to the point that we shall forget about this problem and price all these people out and send them to Kuje prison and cricket because they will go to Kuje. The damage they have done to our economy, they will never walk out away from that. You see them. Look at the billionaires in Nigeria. All of them are oil magnates. Look at the private jets in Nigeria. These are oil magnates. Where do they get the money?
Okay. We have Musa calling in from Ogun State. Hello, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Odefen Ishaka. I'm calling from Ogun State.
Yeah, go ahead.
My contribution goes off is that the federal government should look into the fuel subsidy very critical because the English says where the two elephants fight the grass suffers. Many of the Nigerians are living in the village. They have no access to electricity, whereas they buy fuel to fuel their generators. They also transport, and they are not benefiting from the federal government. Many of the people that are saying they should remove fuel subsidy, they benefited from the PACN, and their car is there. Some of them are getting some allowances from the federal government to support their daily activities, whereas the villagers are suffering from this. Please, that is what we want. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We have this email here, and we ask Salawa to respond to this email. It's from Peterson Kubwa in Abuja here, and it says, the issue of subsidy is just a scam. Mr. Patrick Ifayuba said some time ago that if he is allowed to import the product, it will be sold at 85 naira or less. I feel that with the present internal oil price, Mr. Oba is absolutely right. Honest Nigerians should be allowed to import, while the local refineries should be made to work. Nigeria should build refineries to meet our local requirements. This sent in by Peterson Kubwa from Kubwa in Abuja here. What do you have to say to that, Mr. Lowry?
My response will be very simple. Let the caller get hold of the PPPRA template. The template details on every line what happens. The first line is actually the C&F, cost and freight value of the product. And then it goes on and on and on until it gets to the landing cost. So we have different lines. One of the factors that must be checked if we have to stop the movement of the price anyhow is the factor of foreign exchange. If the foreign exchange continues to rise the way it is rising, so would the landing cost be going up and down. Whoever can import at a cheaper price, it's going to be a very welcome idea. PPRA is there, and I'm sure that they will be willing to let such individual imports. But by the way, the MD of Capital Oil, who was quoted, is also an importer. He has one of the best, one of the largest tank farms around. So he imports product and he sells also. So I'm very sure that he is listening and PPRA is listening. Okay. But having said all this, it is also interesting to note that the effects that affect the landing cost seriously and the interest, people are not looking at these two areas. Subsidy as a bulk sum is not even as much as the foreign exchange element, because look at it, the movement from 185 to 186 to 197 to 200 to 230. Each time it moves, the cost of the product in naira rises, and that has to be taken into consideration. So that I hope answers our dear friend who sent in that particular email. Okay, we have Ahmed calling in from Ilorin. Ahmed, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes.
Yeah, my contribution on this issue this evening is that I want the federal government to maintain this regime of subsidy simply because the process of petroleum supply to the masses in the country, it's not something that we can say we can remove subsidy right now. First and foremost, what is subsidy? I don't think whether there is anything subsidy in the chain of supply of fuel. But if federal government can maintain the mantra by providing refineries, making our existing refineries functional, working, and providing these modular refineries everywhere in each state of the federation, I believe the so-called subsidy will be vanished. And again, I am not pleased with the position of the speaker from Lagos. As a Nigerian, the way he portrays himself as a marketer, as if he is a foreigner, a kind of exploiter. You understand, sir? So I am motivated that they should have empathy, on the Nigerian masses, at least, because it is the masses that are suffering as a result. We don't have any country more than this. This is our country. Let us have empathy so that we can contribute to the plight of our masses. That is just my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll just go quickly again to the mails, and this one from Adamu Magaji says, thank you so much. Average Nigerians believe fuel subsidy is not sustainable. The total funds expended on subsidy can comfortably build 4 new refineries. That's Adamu Magaji. But then we have this one from Comrade Victor Ononokono of Pengasin. And he says, I need to contribute to the discussion. The labor position, particularly from the service union in the oil and gas sector, is important. That's believing we know what that position is. Right. And then, of course, we have this from Engineer Musa London, and he says, this is a very interesting subject, and I want to lend my voice to those calling for the removal of fuel subsidy. It should go, please. My reason is simple. It is not all Nigerians that benefit from the subsidy. Okay? And from Makudi, we have this one, Iofa James, and he says, in my opinion, the subsidy should be totally removed because in Makudi, some filling stations sell the product at 120 naira, 130, 105, and 87 naira. So what's the difference between subsidy and subsidy removed? Kerosene that is supposed to be for the poor masses, you hardly ever see it in filling stations. It sells at 160 naira. In fact, we are used to it. That's from Makudi. But in another position, Sani Haruna says, while we support the president in his decision to get our refineries working, which is the only realistic way out of this problem, subsidy should remain as a welfare issue like the health and education subsidy to the common man in Nigeria. But this can only happen after we kill the subsidy corruption and other corruptions in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria in general. Nigerians should responsibly support the president in his determination to fight corruption in our country. Divergent views here. So let's look at this. What are the social safety nets that we can put in place to cushion the attendant hike in the case of a removal? Because people are complaining that once you do that, the prices go up. Mr. Alawi doesn't seem to believe that if we remove subsidy, prices will go up.
So, you see, we have agreed that by the time we fix our refineries, then the actual price of the petroleum products will be determined by the same government, because it's not government refines the oil and knows how much it costs it.
Okay.
Now, the same government will now say, let's tax the consumers. What is even called carbon tax? We don't pay carbon tax. Let's tax the consumers so that we give the money we make from tax revenue to attend to the urgent needs of social needs of the people, like having our rail system working, having roads fixed and buses and the things like that, and then fixing our schools and those things. Unless we do this, there's no way the safety net you're talking about. So do you know that after lending government money to government by bank, the next the banks lend money to are these oil marketers, and they have taken over between 2006 and 2014. Over 10 trillion naira has been spent to import petroleum products. We are talking about 40% of our forex consumption every year goes into importation of petroleum products. Petroleum products would have refined in this country, save that money, create jobs, and make it available at a good price. So we must fix the refineries. We are not going to remove any all the, because as soon as you remove it, sorry, I will tell you the price can go to 1,000 naira in Sokoto.
Okay. Alex is calling in from Kaduna. Hello, Alex.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Sir, this whole issue, I'm very happy for this issue today. Because it's one of the major issue for our economy today. Because we can't imagine some set of people taking huge amount of money in the name of subsidy, and then at the end they either divert the subsidized fuel to one of these neighboring countries, and we end up not benefiting from it. So we have been advocating for the removal of this subsidy. If the government is hearing us, we know we are in support. At least he said that in due course, at least gradually it will be removed. Fine. But our refineries must have to work. We are looking at the refineries in the sense that private individuals, companies will come, build their refineries. It will be like a rice mill. You don't need to even, as a refinery owner, you don't need to get a crude oil. There should be private individuals who have their crude oils. They bought them, process them already. They come like the way rice owners bring their rice to rice mill. Mill it, the owner of refinery will charge you, refine your oil, take it to the market. This thing should be free. For the market should be free and they'll be competitive. If it is competitive, you will see that prices will drop and ordinary Nigeria will enjoy. What concerns a refinery owner with pump price? That your business is to refine. Own your refinery as a refiner, people will bring their crude oil to refine. And everything will be democratized and people will enjoy. There will be competition in the market and price will certainly drop.
Okay.
I think with this government we believe that things will go right.
Alright. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex. And just for a quick mail that's coming here, this one is from Dennis. And Dennis says, first of all, not many Nigerians know what fuel subsidy is doing or not doing to us. Secondly, why do we continue to maintain refineries and depots that are not functioning? Why do we allocate oil wells to few people? Why do we continue to reach truck owners and transporters when we have pipes and depots? We need to get serious. I believe no investor is richer than government. Why can government not build new modern refineries and save the wastages over the years. That's Dennis. That's what he sent in. And for Dr. Okore from Abakaliki, he says, I join the common Nigerians to say that the so-called subsidies should be removed if our 4 refineries are working. That's and he says that check the liter you bought. The quantity sold in petrol stations in the same city are not the same. All this boils down to corruption. Those ensuring that the liters are adequate, collect money and turn their eyes away, unlike in the 70s when there was real price control. So for so many of those who've called in and sent in messages here, they talk about corruption and they say, deal with the corruption. And let me take it back to you, Mr. Lawrence. They said, deal with the corruption in the whole system. If you do that, then it won't be as bad as it is right now. Do you agree with that?
First, the head of state the president has actually promised us he's going to look into the sector, and we are all anxious. We want to see after he has actually done what he needs to do in the oil sector, we will get to where the oil has to be. What people don't really understand, and what most even enlightened people miss, is that the money paid out as subsidy claims is not for marketers. And I need to make it clear today. The money paid is money borrowed from banks, and as soon as we get the reimbursement from the government, the reimbursement doesn't go to the pocket of an individual, it goes to the bank, and the bank will take the money it has borrowed, lent out to people. So it's not money that people carry and put into their pocket. If marketer A is paid a reimbursement of 5 billion or 500 million or whatever, it is money that he has borrowed from the banks, and the banks take that money up front. That is number one. If there is any corruption, in 2012 when the probe panels did their job, some people were found wanting. Whether they were prosecuted, whether some were jailed or not, whether they were let to go or not, is not something that is left for those that should have taken the action. But the fact is that it is the assignment of government to look into any sector where they suspect that there is some untoward practices, and let them look into it, clean it up. The innocent ones will stay and continue their business like it was done. But the truth is that when people hear billions, it does not mean that it goes into the pocket of the marketer.
Okay, Mr. Lawrence, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm mistaken, but or perhaps I should just put this question directly. Do you think there's corruption in the whole system dealing with the subsidy? Do you think there's a scam going on there? Because I haven't really heard you say, yes, there's corruption in the system, or there isn't. What do you say direct to that?
Direct to that. There was in 2011, remember, when the number of importers rose to as high as 148, there was corruption. But a probe was set up, a panel was set up. The correct name is actually the Mekwede panel. It was set up, and those that were found wanting were referred to the enforcement agencies. Okay, so that time there was corruption. Thereafter, some processes have been put in place that ensures that when a vessel comes in, for example, some people from the Minister of Finance, the auditors are there, the marine inspectors are there, PVRA has officials there, DPR officials are there,
they all inspect these vessels before and after discharge. They go to the tank farm and ascertain the quantity discharged before documents are sent to PPPRA for processing. So it's very, very difficult now for anybody to do what they used to do in 2011 and backward. Okay. Well, thank you. Well, as we begin to wind down, Chief Mike Aristotle, your closing comments on that.
What I believe is this, that Nigerians, we need a change. We need to change our attitude towards everything. We don't need to rely on government most of the things we do. First and foremost, we need our refinery to work. After 30 good years, Ajakuta started blasting today, which is good for Nigeria. Now, if all our 4 refineries start working, and we building some other small refineries, and I keep applying on this modular refineries, we keep building on that, we won't be talking about subsidies from tomorrow or from any other time.
Okay.
And that way, we will be getting not just TMS, we will be getting DPK, AGO, and other additives. And what we said last time, that because of the cost of forest going up, and that as you export or you sell to the people in that same range, no. If we sell to a local refiner, he is able to refine more additives. He will sell TMS, Jetware, DPK, and the price goes down.
For the purpose, I'd like that to be put in the real everyday context. Petrol, diesel, kerosene, yes. So we leave those terms to... Right. Okay, so that we're not even getting that as value.
We're not getting that as now. What we are getting is just importing petrol.
Right. Okay, so
going forward,
I think that the theme of which the president has started, some vessels now from China and India, about 13 vessels have been banned from coming into Nigeria, taking petroleum products. So I think that what we are going to do is to clean up the sector. Those Nigerians that have oil blocks that are allocated oil blocks to themselves when they were in power or when their parents were in power, the oil blocks must be taken away from them. We have to rebuild corporate Nigeria. We have to look, the president has to do, because that's what China did. We have to say, these 1,000 Nigerians are going to be the leaders of corporate Nigeria, and they must be patriots, not fraudsters, 419ers who call themselves members of corporate Nigeria. That must come to an end.
Alright, comrade.
Well, I think that for us, we will ask that those who have been found guilty of changing the rules as a result of the 2012 subsidy removal should be prosecuted to serve as a deterrent to others. And for us, we also believe clearly that this cannot be the time to be talking about subsidy removal. Don't forget that right now, salaries of workers are not even paid for months. So you are looking at a situation where government have not been able to live up to its responsibilities. We believe that there is so much corruption in the system. We believe that we can do more by ensuring that our existing refineries are working optimally, and that we can put in new refineries so that we can produce, we can refine our own crude here.
Alright, thank you. And in closing this program, we'll use just 2 tweets here to round up tonight's program. The first was from Triumph Ate, and he says, "We need action. Neo-colonialism and capitalism are the basis. Our ideology is not patriotic. Build viable refineries." That's Triumph Ate. And finally, this one is a little bit bordering on the lighter side. It's from Hadi, and he says, "Refinery Day had better be included in our national public holidays by the time we finally have functional refineries." It's a shame we don't have it. So by the time we have refineries, we should declare Refinery Day in Nigeria as a public holiday. And it is on that lighter note, we'd like to say a big thank you to Babakomi Olawore, who is Executive Secretary of the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, NOMAN, who joined us on this discussion from our Lagos Network Center. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us. All right. And here in the Abuja studio, big thank you to Comrade Peter Zabiyami, Deputy National President of the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress. Thank you for having me. Thank you. And to Abilim Emegbaya, a very good friend on this program here, development economist. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you. And for Chief Mike Aristotle, also an economist and expert in management and organizational behavior. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. And so to all of you who were part of this program, who joined us by telephone, tweets and emails, we'd like to thank you for being part of Tuesday Live. Next week we'll reach you again on NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Phil Stober. Bye for now.